Paul. My name is Byron Hodges. I am not a teacher, can you believe this? I'm actually a mechanical engineer. I've been practicing engineering for more than 25 years. I work with a local architectural firm here in Irvine. We're actually based in Ohio. And a quick story, I moved to Irvine 8 years ago for 1 year to recruit engineers for our office here. 8 years later, I'm still here. I don't know how that happened. But I'm not upset with it.
We'd like to have you.
Oh, thank you. Let me put on my second slides here. Oh, that's okay. First, let me tell you a little bit about my motivation with Fana Global. I was invited to a reception about 1.5 years ago by a very good friend who's a board member of the Fana Global Foundation. And I sat and I listened to Fred and Shala and Shaheem and a couple other people and talked about all these wonderful ideas and these plans, these aspirations. And the thing that really grabbed me was everything was tangible. Everything had a purpose. The vision was very clear to me. And when they talked about the arts and prejudice, you know, I've experienced prejudice in my life. A lot of us have. I went to school, which a lot of us have, so I can relate to that. And I'm very much in favor of the support of child physical awareness, child obesity, child malnutrition. It's around us. We see it every day. Everything they talked about was very, very exciting, very tangible. But when they talked about the school, this was something that really hit home with me because I was actually a board member of a charter school back in Ohio. I worked for a construction company, and the owner of the company actually started a charter school in Ohio, so I got involved in the facilities and putting the building together. And this was something I knew I could just get right involved in. And Fred and Shala and Fana Global invited me to come on board and join the school board for putting this together. I'm so grateful for that. And it's something that I love to do. I love design. I love engineering. I think that if someone told me if you could do anything else in the world that you want to do, I would still do what I'm doing right now. Because it fulfills me every day. I don't set an alarm clock to go to work. I get up and I go. And at 5 o'clock, I don't leave the office. There are a lot of times Shala will call me. She says, "Where are you?" It's 7 o'clock. I'm still at the office. Because there's something that has to be done, and I want to get it done. When I go home, when I walk out the door from that office, I don't take it with me. I leave it in the office. And when I show up the next day, I pick it where I left off. And it's very fulfilling. It's a lot of fun. And for the school, I was able to come up with an idea. When we think about a school building, we think of it just as a piece of concrete or a piece of wood or just a structure. But a school is an organism. There are a lot of parts of a school. And I just want to talk to you about a few of the things that we're looking at to help create a great school for our Fana Global. These are design considerations since I'm basically talking about the actual facility itself. I want to talk about sustainability. We want to talk about supporting teachers as well as learning. Flexibility, have accessible spaces. This school has to be technically integrated. We want to be able to attract, retain great staff and students. We want to create a collaborative environment so students and staff and parents are all on the same page. We want to do community building, which I'll talk a little bit about. And we want to plan and design for the future. Sustainability. Nowadays, you hear a lot about the green movement. Everything's about reuse, renew, recycle. And this is not something that's just a political act. This is something very, very important because we use a lot of resources. We waste a lot of resources. I would say probably 20 years ago in engineering, we started learning about looking at different sources for energy. They were always there, but really looking at these sources of energy. Looking at different building materials. Looking at possibilities for having something that's more sustainable. At the same time, it's going to be comfortable, creating a comfortable environment. And we applied these sciences to hospitals, to churches, to retail spaces, restaurants, which I designed all of these types of buildings before. But more so in schools, because schools are, for all practical purposes, they become second homes for a lot of people, especially for kids. And inner city kids, they spend most of their waking time in school. So that building has to be something that's going to be comfortable, has to be safe, has to create health and awareness for the students. And at the same time, it has to be something that's going to be sustainable. It's going to be renewable. You create green spaces that kids will enjoy, but green spaces are natural spaces. You bring in a lot of natural daylight, so you can cut down your electricity bills. And it's expensive to run a school. If you can use natural light and reflect natural light, it creates a very, very warm and inviting environment. And our bodies depend on natural light. That's part of our physical being. We need that. The spaces have to be flexible. The trend for schools is actually changing. If you think about it, the old traditional school building, you had classrooms, you had hallways, you had restrooms, you had the principal's office, which everyone hates to go to. You had a gymnasium, and every room was for a specific purpose. That's expensive, and it's wasteful because schools nowadays, they have a lot of spaces that aren't being utilized to their potential. So with our school, the plan is to have spaces that can be converted from one type of space to another type of space with movable partitions, walls that actually open to the outdoors, movable furniture, bright windows, lots of open air feeling. And you can kind of create nice spaces just by color, by light, and make it something that students will love, the parents will love, the teachers will love. That's the idea behind that.
I'm going to go back to school.
Technology integration, this is very important. You know, everything that we do today is computer-based. I mean, everyone has a cell phone. You probably can't live without your cell phone. It's the first thing you grab in the morning when you get up. Probably the last thing you check before you go to sleep. It's unfortunate, but and the reason I say is because there's so much more to life except our cell phones. Technology, if the kids have the right technology and the right training, the right facilities for that, it's going to open their eyes to the possibilities of the world. I don't know if you heard, there have been a lot of speeches on TV and the news lately from all around the world. Every country, every leading country in this world is driven by technology, and they're looking for technical growth. There's a need for engineers and for scientists. There's a need for musicians and teachers, because all of this is part of this technology. And our school, we want to make sure that it's technically savvy, up to date, up to speed with everything that's going on these days. Collaboration. We want to create collaborative spaces. These are spaces where students can actually go, like see kids are sitting on the floor, reading books, talking. You want to have this type of space for kids. You want kids to communicate, to intermingle, to talk about things. You want to have resources available to them. You want to make sure that they feel comfortable, they feel safe, they feel like they want to be there. You want the teachers to feel the same way. You have a space here where you can have instructors and teachers, and they all kind of share the space, doing their own thing. And it kind of gels together. Like say, the old days, you would put a wall on the door and you separate that. You want to create these spaces that are open and inviting. You want to have community building. Now, this has two meanings. When I say community building, you can think about the physical building itself, which will be a community building, because the idea is to have the parents and have the community involved in this school. We're looking at an areas, the school will definitely be an urban school, will not be in suburbia. It will definitely be in an area that is probably less privileged. I won't say underprivileged, just less privileged. Kids have privileges, and the idea for the school is to show them the opportunities that they have. But the idea is also to have a space where it fits in the environment that the building is sitting in. So one school may look like an old factory. There are a lot of schools back east that are in converted buildings. There are old factory buildings, old grocery stores. You will be amazed what you can do with any type of building. And that's why I say it's not the building, it's what you do with it. And we want to have, we're going to be able to plan for the future. So ideally, we'll get a building, we'll develop our spaces within that building, we'll have flexible spaces, we'll have labs, we'll have kitchen, we'll have facilities. The idea is to have as few walls as possible to create the open environment, to create a good learning environment for all the students. And we also want to have a space that we can grow, that we can expand. Ideally, we can pick a building, maybe there's a lot next to it, or 2 or 3 buildings that we can join together, and do this over progression, and then do this and around the world. So it's something that we've talked about, we've thought about it. We have a great staff here for Fana Global Charter School. A lot of knowledgeable folks. I'm enjoying it. I'm loving it. I get excited about it. Literally, I'll wake up in the middle of the night with an idea and I'll write it down because it's something that we need to do. And I'm hoping that we can get everyone here involved in some way. You would be surprised. A simple idea can make the biggest difference. And we want everyone to be involved as much as possible. I'm going to invite up my good friend Kathy, and she's going to talk a little bit more about some of our great ideas.
Absolutely.